We're good.
Thank
No one
you.
on Zoom.
Okay, let's like to call this meeting to order tonight. If we could get a roll call, please.
Ms. Bovee? Here. Mr. Zare? Here. Ms. Gumbatz? Here. Mr. Grady?
Here.
Mr. Letty?
Here.
Mr. Uranaga?
Okay, next we'll have an audience of citizens. Anybody here, we'll start here in the room. You can step forward, give us your name, address, and your comments on it, please.
Phyllis Norton, 36 Cedar Drive, Kensington. I was not here last week, but I watched all 2 hours and 24 minutes of the Zoom, so I did my homework, took notes. I just had some questions or some things I just, maybe you could answer some questions for me. Watching the 2 hours and 24 minutes, I kept looking at the counter or the timer on the bottom. First of all, I'd like to thank this committee for working so diligently all these weeks. Kudos to you. My concern, I guess, which has been going on for weeks and weeks, is still, I'm picking up that vibe, we're still leaning towards the YMCA, that pendulum keeps swinging that way. My first question is, I was watching the video of the Zoom, and I missed some meetings where other YMCAs contacted, like the Southington Y, the Hartford YMCA, which, as you know, I brought up that my husband and I are members of the Wheeler Regional, which is part of the bigger conglomerate of YMCA's. I don't know, but I went to the presentation by the Meriden Y, and it seemed like that was the only Y that either showed interest or new contact. I really don't know. There was also mentioned in the previous meeting too that communities can sustain a Y. Not every town can sustain a YMCA. We actually are surrounded by a bunch of YMCA's. I used to work for a YMCA in college and after college, and they rely very heavily on endowments, donations, sponsors. In fact, the Y that my husband and I belong to in Plainville, they're in the middle right now. They asked us for a donation, and I gave them a donation. So this is what they do. But if we go with the YMCA, my husband and I talked about this too, and it doesn't make it, does the town take it over? Or if it goes so heavily in debt, then are we just back to square one? I don't know. Let's see. My other concern too is that a YMCA is a YMCA, and every time I go to the YMCA with my husband, it's not a community center, it's not a senior center. And it's a great YMCA, but we're losing that original charge or goal of a joint facility to serve all the people in the town of Stop me. Yeah. I have a whole list, so I told you I watched the video. So if we go with the YMCA, again, I did a lot of thinking as I was watching this. I guess the town would still have to pay for money to upgrade the senior center and the community center. I used to take Pilates in the community center. There was a room and there was an exercise room, but it's not a community, I mean, it's rooms. We need a bigger facility to meet the needs, I think, of a growing community. If we go with the YMCA, transportation would still have to go or be running between the YMCA and the senior center. Who's going to pay for that? You know, I listened to some of the seniors who go to the Plainville Senior Center. They leave the Y and they said, "Hey, yeah, are you going to the senior center?" Yeah. So they're going from the Plainville Y down the road on whatever road that is, 10, 170, whatever it is, and they have to drive to go. In regards to the pool, again, I'm using a lot of my observations of being a member of a Y. The competitive lap pool that they have is used for all sorts of different things. I know when my kids were lifeguards there, they used it for swim meets, but they also, my husband swims laps there. So it's a multi-purpose pool. They have a splash, a kids pool. They also have a hot tub, and they also have a therapy pool, and it has it all. And I think our community center would benefit from having all those different types of water areas for to meet the needs of all the people in town. Also, there was mention of a mill rate. I had to refresh my memory on how even though I used to teach civics when I was a teacher, and in my civic, we all looked at how to calculate. I had to refresh my memory there too. But in your report, it wouldn't be a bad idea to come up with an assessment of a fictitious house in Berlin and actually show the calculation and also with an increase in the mill rate as well to show what that would incur. So we played around with the assessment of our house and it went up one mill rate. It's like $350-ish. It went up one mill rate. So we used, the last number I could find online was 2020. I don't know if it's the most accurate. And that was it. So I think, putting that in your report, so if it's posted online or comes up for discussion, having real numbers, I think would really definitely make an impact on them. So let's focus. I think that's it. Okay, so those are my concerns watching the video. So I hope that hope that the pendulum swings back, at least from my perspective, to a community center, senior center. I would enjoy both. Nothing wrong with the YMCA. I have a member right now. But that's because there is no facility here that would address both needs in one place. So that's what we'll go. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Duly noticed. Go ahead, next.
Shocking. Tim Thurston, 100 Sawmill Drive, Berlin. Again, I want to thank you guys for all your hard work, and I'm very sincere about that. I did have a comment, a question, and another comment. Comment was a couple things back in 1999. We finished the community center. You guys have this, and I'm sure you have it in your report. And town council going all over this place. That was supposed to be a 10-year plan. Now it's 13 years later, done nothing. All right. So the plan was 10 years to do the community center. So I hope that's mentioned to the town council. The other thing is keep in mind and make sure that townspeople know that this is a 50 to 100 year plan. This is not, we're going to pay for it, in 2 years, and then, it's not going to exist anymore. Just like everything, high schools and everything, and this is a 50 to 100 year plan. All right. I consider this not a cost, but more as an investment or an asset to the town. And the reason, especially I would pull for the property across from the high school, because what it does is create the intergenerational contact that we're looking for. Okay, the fact that we can get kids from the high school to go over to the senior center, okay, and actually show them tech support, working with them for tech support. We could have seniors reading to 2 and 3 year olds. It's a place to gather everybody. It's an asset to the town. It's somewhere where old and young could be taught swimming lessons, avoid the drowning incidents and that kind of thing. How about this? We have a kitchen there. We have a group over at the high school called Cooking for a Crop. Okay, the kids from the high school come over and cook a beautiful meal for the seniors, a turkey dinner for the seniors. You see where I'm going with this. And this is where I think, when we talk about cost, we have to put it in perspective. We have to think, what is this that we're bringing out? To me, as I said, it's a community center, senior center. It's something that's trying to bind the community together. All right. The other thing I would like to question, and I'm sure it's probably been answered. All right. As Phyllis said, what is the what is the average cost going to be? The other thing I was curious is, when is the debt up for retirement for the high school? Does anybody in this room know that now, or can somebody find out? Because when we're talking about, this is going to add, okay, but do we understand that down the road, the debt retirement from the high school is going to come off? And so maybe that would be a selling point to a community center. So I wouldn't know who to ask on that. Maybe Kevin,
Just go to a current debt amortization schedule, not updated for like the current budget that they're proposing, but and we'll talk about it, but I did ask Kevin when the high school terms, and I'm sorry, I forget what his answer was, and I don't remember if I wrote it down. But I remember that 2026, based on the current payment schedule, the debt at the end of the year is somewhere around 40 million. Whereas right now, the beginning of the year, it was 81 million thereabouts, and it goes to 40 million in 2026 for the debt itself. But, you know, just based on the payment schedule, assuming no additional debt, that is a key, no additional debt between now and then, which
won't
is
be the
not
case.
reality.
It won't be the case.
Right,
We have,
you're gonna have
You're
to
bonding
we have
put
this
some
year.
debt on.
$20 million to invest in air conditioning on the
Right.
grammar schools, middle schools.
Yeah.
Middle schools.
Okay. All right, well. So that's what I had, and I appreciate your support on this whole thing. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, on to the approval of minutes from March 24th, 2022. We had a chance to skim through it and see if there was any mistakes or clarifications you'd like to change before we ask for a motion. Thoughts? Anybody?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of March 24th, 2022 as presented.
Okay, motion's on the floor. Can we get a second? Second. All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Okay, so I know last time we had a second draft of at least the report for the backup information. Over last week, I know that some commissioners had a chance to meet with Jen and get some new information, so I don't know. Dave, do we want to start your presentation or have Jen talk about her new stuff first?
I would, I don't know what the new stuff is, but I'd suggest we just jump right into the report.
Because most of that
I
is,
I revised it based on everyone's comments from last week. in addition.
it's probably the same information.
So I
Yeah,
have.
my budget, I put my budget in.
Okay,
Yeah, oh, yeah, okay, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's.
okay, why don't we start there
I'll hand out copies.
before you jump in, I got
Oh,
some.
okay, so
You should
This,
also
this
give
is based on the changes and comments from everyone last time, and based on the new stuff that Jen gave us, with respect to the town, to the operating budget. So,
Dave, before you start,
yes, sir.
Dave, can I have one? I
Oh,
didn't say one for myself.
There you go.
just real simple, Dave, so you don't have to make any changes. I think in the beginning of at least this report, we should have our, you know, our charges from the attachment from our, right? And the statement of needs, just as information, just so when we give it to the council, they,
Well, I think it can be attached at the end of the
Well, yeah.
document, certainly.
we can certainly
Because
just
I can
put it in there.
actually, I can just say page 36, statement of needs.
Yeah, I think it's
Page
important to be in there.
37, whatever it is, I can do it. Yeah, that's
I
easy.
mean, it's already done. You don't have to make any
So-
changes.
That being said, you had taken the tasks and put them in your PowerPoint.
Yeah, I
Summarize.
think all of them.
Which one do you want to use? Do you want to use the one that
Well-
was officially given at
Well, yeah,
council?
we can reference it.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
if this is, yeah,
No,
if
I
this is the
don't have
detailed
that.
report, I agree, to put the whole list of tasks and then, you know, summarize them like Brendan did for the PowerPoint.
That was it, Dave. That was just real simple, just
Yeah.
to make sure that they're included.
Okay, oh, there's two statement of needs,
Yeah.
okay.
Do
Okay.
we, on these, do you want to put a date, like, or somehow you're gonna this is the town council as of July, whatever the date is that they gave it to us.
Which is on
and
the
then-
front, July 20th.
July 12th, I think it was written. I don't know what.
July 20th is when you were appointed,
That
so
was
when you were
right.
appointed is when you're given the task.
And
so-
then the tasks were approved by the town council that same night.
Yeah, because it was all one
So-
motion.
And we can, we don't have to type it on, just, so it's as of, that was, or approved by TC, July 20th, just to put up top, because it was a subset of other things, so.
The tasks, not the statement. of needs.
Yeah, but let me get another one, because if I write on it,
That's fine.
like, if I write on my good ones, I'm not done.
The write-up for the agenda was dated July 12th. It was probably written before it got to the council.
Yeah.
Right.
So, on the task sheet, you'd like me to say, For town council.
Approved or assigned,
Approved by town council
7/20/21.
July 20th.
7/20/21,
Seven.
the same day you guys were created.
Okay, so that can go to top. Okay. Okay, I see.
And then the statement of needs, I know someone brought that up before, that we should have a date that they were submitted. I think we did have a date at one point, someone. Jen, you might have gotten back to us with dates, but
Because the Parks and Recreation Commission one was sent back. So that one was
Yeah.
revised.
right, it was updated, yeah.
So I'll use that date.
It's not in the write-up.
Yeah. I'll go back to the council minutes.
You'll give it to me.
Yep.
For
But I'll
each-
use,
for
there'll
each-
be different dates, because Commission on Aging will be the original.
Right.
Parks and Rec will be, it's like,
You can say
it was
updated,
like August
with the
this
date,
year.
updated on this date, yeah.
Okay. Oh. Okay, I understand.
No, it's, you know, that was real simple to get in there.
Oh, that's okay. So, page one, our last meeting. Requested Jen on page one. Number. So I did it, with a little ampersand there. Because the town council, he said it was 6. I rolled this by Jen.
Yeah, I'm fine with
And
it.
she said it's okay. She's kind of reasonable.
Yeah.
She's okay.
I'm not a voting member, it makes sense to
I
separate.
think that's pretty much how they laid it out anyways.
Yeah.
So is that okay with them?
Sure.
Okay. So that's, and table of contents, page 2. My printer's giving me a hard time, so some of the numbers are stuff top. Page 2 is the same. And page 3 is pretty much the same. Page 4 is the same. Now, page 5 hasn't really changed other than Jen got me the as of date under B. So it was as of 3/3/22. That's where those numbers. So that was the only change in this 5. And then on 6, you folks asked me to take out the 2 C and D. Said we didn't study them. So I did take them out, but I did put them in the conclusion at the end, under 35, which you'll see it there. I made a statement about it. We can talk about it. Tour facilities list, I have to finish. I didn't finish that. But I will finish it. I just didn't get to it. So, well, that's really the only page that I have to finish. That's page.
Dave,
Yeah.
I don't, if Jen sent to.
Yeah, I got it.
Oh,
I
you got the
your
Excel?
numbers.
With
Yeah,
the,
yeah, I got your
with the
numbers.
rates, okay.
And actually, I used a bunch
Yeah.
already, but not, I used them on 27. Because 27, yeah, I used some of them on 27, which was the Central Connecticut facility. You had a bunch of good numbers there. And I used some of your numbers there. You already had that. Doing, but I didn't get to 7. I didn't get to 7. I will, and I'm going to look at your Excel and take the numbers off of
Steve, is this Word document
that.
or?
It is a Word
It
document.
is,
It's a Word.
I don't know how, but I think you can take that Excel document and just put that Excel document and replace this page 7.
Yeah, I'm going to look at it. I just didn't. Yesterday I did 27. I called I took some of your numbers and when I couldn't find those, I called them. But today I'm.
The only thing I see on page 7 is Glastonbury.
Right, there,
Glastonbury's no pool too.
it's a senior center.
Okay,
The senior center.
okay. Senior center. So I'm gonna fix that. 8 didn't change at all. It's the same as it was last time. And then 9 is the same 9 that we've always had. It just circles the lower lane access route. Okay. Okay, this is different.
This is, yeah,
This is different. Jen must have.
Donna actually finalized the numbers, we talked to Victoria and Tina, and this was perfect, because it fit right on the page. I was
Oh,
so
it's
glad with
good.
your margins.
Yeah, because you said you and Tina were gonna work on it. So
Yeah,
10,
Jen, I'm sorry, just so you know, though, Jen asked me
yeah, I asked for help.
for help.
I'm not good with
So using their
percentages.
statistics, and I tried, and if we did, we clarified every statistic
Yeah.
with them. And this is their work, but I put it together and tried to, put some narrative around the statistics. I always find that if you just throw numbers out without any type of narrative as to what you're trying to do, it's hard for someone picking up and figure it out. So that's what we did.
okay, so that's great, that's done.
So does anyone want to go through it?
Well, my question is, we have 2 categories here for senior center members and senior center active members. And both those numbers are the same.
For 2017, that's correct.
Okay, what happened to the other numbers where there was 1,000? There was 1,000 something members and only
Right.
441 used it.
So if you look, so this table, if you look down bolded, members as of 3/28/22, see the 919 number?
Yeah,
That is the actual number. When we went back and, we raised questions and they reran the numbers, they realized that the system that they use, I guess, it could include guests. And so the guests were included for that 1,084 number that we had last week, or whatever that
I think
number
it
was.
also included
so those
deceased
include people who were
individuals.
So
deceased.
they
think
had
so,
to
yeah.
run it and
Oops.
so the members as of now is 919, which is 15% more than there were in 2017. There were 441 members at the senior center. Members, people that joined, not that went, but just joined the senior center. So that's a growth of 15%. And then 15% of our population. And then active members are those that actually visited the center at least once during the year. Now, in 2017, to Tim's point, they put this system in 2016. I went back, their numbers were, one was higher than the other, didn't make sense. I said, something's not right. They went back and reread it.
Thank
They
you.
said it's 100%, maybe it's 90%. It's just, it was 1-year-old system then, maybe something was wrong, but that's what their numbers are producing. It was their first full year of using the system. But otherwise, you can see in 18, 95% of the center members were active. In other words, they came to the center at least once. And then in 2019, 79%. If you take those 3 years and you average them out for pre-pandemic, again, just trying to give some sense as to how it might be after, things clear up here, it was 90% for those 3 years. And then to the right, column F is the annual participation by active members. That is activities that a participant joined. So Barbara brought up the point during our meeting last week. Well, I went to the center this morning and I went back this afternoon for bingo. That 12,998 number for 2017 would be 2. She participated in 2 different activities during the year. So those 441 active members participated in a total of 12,998 activities or usage, which comes out with an average number of activities per active member of 29 during 2017. And pre-pandemic, taking the 3 years together, it's 28.
So 441 members went to the senior center 29 times in a year. Each individual on average went 29 times.
Right, and when you say 29 times, it's 2 different activities. So when I read their description of what it was, I read that to be days, and it's not. It's activities. If you go to the same day, you go to the center twice, because you do something in the morning, you do something in the afternoon, column F is 2.
So any one of the 441 members during the course of the year went to the senior center 29 times.
29 different times, right, to participate in 29 different activities. That's.
Yep.
Yep. And then in 2020, again, that's during the pandemic, you'll see lower numbers, and that's as a result of the pandemic, so. The narrative up top just talks about how often it's open based on the census, and you can see the population is a footnote. We didn't go back to try and figure out how many seniors we have. Everybody mentioned last week that it's probably pretty close to 6,000, give or take. But there's, based on the census, 6,022 of those people that are 60 years or older, which is 29% of our population in town.
Information.
Question that I have is under C equals B.
I'm sorry?
Under third column, where it
Yep.
says C equals
Yep.
B over A. The only thing you might do is members as the percentage of senior population. Because when I looked at it, I said, is that the whole darn town?
Yeah.
So, maybe members as a percentage of senior population. That's the only.
Sure. Yep. I do.
I just, when I read it, I said,
Yeah, we understand that somebody else might not. We get it.
well, I didn't get it. Okay, all right, that's,
And it just, you see the formulas up top too,
Yeah.
so everybody knows where the numbers come from. But, yeah,
Okay, so that's the percentage of seniors,
Jen,
the
can
senior
you'll
population.
make that change
right, that's just.
on the
senior
document?
population.
Yeah, and if for some reason I can't get it to format,
Yeah,
I'll
you
send
just
it to
give me a
you.
call. I got it marked, but
Well,
So I'm just adding the
441
word
over
senior in front of
6,000.
population.
That's about 2% of the
Right, column
population.
For C.
Yeah, what is it?
of senior population.
441 divided by 6022. It's 7.
Yeah, you're a lot better at Excel
I-
than I am.
So 7.6.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what, to save space and everything,
Yeah, no, I think,
you just round
Good
to
numbers.
the nearest.
yeah, but so if it says senior population, then I. So, okay.
Yeah, because I looked at 7% too. I'm like, wait a minute, 441 is 7% of 1,000.
Yeah, right.
You know,
Yeah.
And then I looked at 15% of 20,000. I said, so if we just say
Yeah,
senior. then-
right,
then
right,
all of
yeah.
that.
Good.
Okay, and so, page 11 didn't change. I don't think so.
So the only thing that I did ask is that we make sure 2020 and 21, we put pandemic. That's why
I
it's way
put the
down.
asterisks when we were, exactly the months we were closed for COVID.
That's
Oh,
right on
I
the
see.
change.
Okay,
She
got
did
it.
add it, yeah.
Got it?
So that's it.
Audit had more members and less visits.
What?
Membership went up, visits went down.
Community center?
Yeah.
We don't have memberships.
No, I'm saying the senior center.
Yes.
throughout COVID.
Yes,
Yeah.
when COVID hit, between robocalls and drive-through events, so many people heard about like, you became a member during COVID, right?
Oh, no, I was a member.
Oh, okay, but we had a lot of people that come in because they wanted that weekly robocall of what was going on in the town, where were the masks and everything. And the drive-through events, Barbara knows, those were packed. So yeah, she gained a lot of members. She did a lot of outreach during COVID.
I joined for that reason.
Yeah,
Exactly.
there was a lot of outreach during COVID.
So 11 is okay.
Yep,
Yes.
11 good.
Okay, we're good. 12, we changed, 12, we changed it all. It's still the same.
You know, so on 12, and this is something for us to think about, right? So in item B, the first bullet, projected annual cost of Putnam's YMCA budget extrapolated. Just my feeling. Jen and staff have now come up with their operating budget for the proposed 70,000 square foot facility. This has less meaning because they came up with the budget using all this information. Putnam's Y, just like every Y, includes childcare, and that's their biggest expenditure, biggest revenue driver. And so it kind of, that 3.3 is overstated for that reason, because we're not running, big daycare in our proposed facility. And then to extrapolate from an operating budget, to extrapolate certain things could work, maybe utilities or whatever, but not the entire budget. Staffing doesn't necessarily change based on size, but it could. But again, because they've gone through it, I think it's something that is meaningless and overstated for that one. I did follow up with Meriden to see where if they were ever going to send us the Meriden operating statement, and they did. Brendan has a copy as well. I didn't bring it, I apologize for that, but I can forward it. But I said to Brendan, I'm not going to follow up with questions right now and see how the commission feels. Their number for the Meriden 33,000 square foot facility had revenue, which was their highest number, meaning the expenditures were less, of $155,000 only. I didn't follow up with questions because I didn't know how we felt now that Jen came up with her budget. Maybe it doesn't mean anything. Quite frankly, I think Meriden's is probably understated. But I think questions have to be raised, and hopefully we have approval to include Putnam's Y because they're part of the Greater Hartford Consortium. But questions have to be raised before we can extrapolate numbers. It's a very dangerous thing to do, and I just don't think it belongs in our report.
Well, let me just say
My
this,
say.
Don, it's very difficult to take projected numbers that were created over the last 2 days, 3 days, 4 days by town hall, and to have they're projected. And so you know what happens when you get there at the end.
Estimated, right?
So when you look at Putnam YMCA, if we had a 46,000 square foot facility, we wouldn't have to extrapolate anything. We can use that as a
How much is
guide.
childcare at Putnam?
I have no idea.
Right,
did not
and by the way, it's
talk
their
childcare.
biggest expenditure. So why are we including
Well, do
childcare?
they get revenue from child?
Yes.
Okay, that's in that.
Yeah, so revenues overstated, for us, revenues overstated and expenditures are overstated. But you're extrapolating expenditures. You didn't extrapolate revenue, but I wouldn't
Well,
even,
how are we gonna get to your 70,000 square feet in real terms that somebody has a facility that uses, not just projected, because you know what happens with projections?
okay, so as I think Brendan even put out an email. You have a new town funded facility that has a senior center and a community center. It's 50,000 square feet. There's a budget. There's budgets for the community center. There's budgets for the senior center. You have that. You take out the $1 million. We've gone through those numbers. You can make, if you're going to put this in, I'll say point counterpoint, then look at Newtown and include
I
Newtown.
don't mind if you have Newtown's numbers,
We do.
I'll throw them in.
We all have.
I don't mind,
So-
you give me a page, I'll add a page of Newtown's numbers.
And also, I will totally object to this 3.3 number. You can talk to Kevin, get your finance team, whatever. And as far as the staff doing the review, my thought is that I think Jen and staff, Jen can confirm, has been thinking about this for a long time. We did need an operating budget. Time is compressed. I think they've been working on it a lot longer than just 4 days, based on your comment. You can let Jen speak. I was waiting for Jen tonight to explain her numbers. We can talk about those numbers as a group, but they spent significant time. Brandon and I had meetings with them as well. To again, using the information, including the Ys, using that information to come up with how would you guys run this? What program, and what programs would you use or would you have? And then you back out, you back into the financials, because then you know what the staff you need and blah, blah, blah. So I think they've done that. I wait to hear about that. I haven't even looked at it. I said, I'll wait till tonight. But you, again, you can confirm with Kevin or anybody, this is way overstated and it's wrong to do. It's just plain wrong. No one in business would use this approach. And I just think it's factually wrong. You want to leave it in? I'll just, personally, I just totally object to it. So,
No, I thought the idea to put Newtown in there was to see what the town is.
I don't mind.
We did
And I
look at
don't-
Wise and we did look at the, that was one of the newer ones.
And Putnam doesn't have daycare. Putnam has a facility to take care of the kids that are being, the parents that are exercising, but they don't have a daycare program. Mike and I were there.
they don't run
Well,
anything, they don't run it, except for the taking care, these
They-
numbers don't include any daycare?
They don't, well,
Except
had
for,
the
except for
place.
taking care of the kids.
they had facilities, but they were not for daycare.
But,
They didn't.
but their facilities, are they including these numbers? Do we know anything about these numbers, other than the numbers? I say that because when we visited the other sites, and you guys went there, I didn't, so I made certain assumptions because I see these numbers similar to, some other sites. Like if you go on to the WISE, however, it's all joint, New Britain, Berlin, WISE tax return, you'll see these types of things, right? I know those and other significant childcare, revenue included. But if we don't know what this represents, like we did Mansfield had a similar $2 million expenditure. We asked about that. We got into the details, and I think you need to do that. I don't know enough about this. You want to keep it in, and you can keep it in as long as the Y is okay with that, just because this is a subset of Greater Hartford. But I object to extrapolating it to 3.3 million.
Well, let me just say, that item B, first bullet, it's been in there
And I've
probably for about 4 or 5 meetings ago. You never said anything, no one ever said it, but that's okay. Okay? But one of the things that you're talking about is everyone, Newtown, Meriden, Putnam. It's very difficult for us to dial down everyone's expenditures and revenues. Very difficult. We would be here the rest of the year. We're going to dial down everyone's money. I don't mind removing that 3-point-something million. I don't mind. I'll take it out if you want. But I want to leave the Putnam budget in there because I believe it's good information for councilors and board of finance. And I also am going to, what I would say is that the Putnam YMC is a 36,000 square foot facility, and ours is 70,000, and you can extrapolate and get whatever number you want. And I'll take out the 3 point. I'll take out the 3-point-something.
Yeah.
I don't care.
And Dave, I could have mentioned it last week. And by the way, I'll just go back to last week. I want to apologize for some of the comments that I made and how I responded to some things. And at some point I said, I'm just shutting down because I can't, I'm just not doing this right. But I thought about that, and you just can't extrapolate. And for anyone to do that, if I want to extrapolate and we want to use Meriden's number, 155,000 for 33, double it. We're going to say it's 300,000, totally wrong. That would be way understated. And I don't know enough about Meriden because I didn't want to go back because until we talk about it.
But
But keeping Putnam in as long as we can, I agree, it should, because I also agree that in the appendix, not necessarily, if we're gonna do separate appendices, but we should give them the notes from our visits, just because they're narratives, whether they read them or not, this could go in with the visit to Putnam. I don't think we have any notes, but if we do, or we, somehow insert them all together, I agree.
So
It's in the minutes, right? We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
So I'll take out the 3-point-something million.
yeah, my thought was we'll leave it in there because we're trying to get more information from Jen, but our real cost would be.
You want to leave it?
No, I'd take it out. I think it's just a plug, really. that we got.
I would put the numbers in as the original numbers as a 46,000 square foot facility.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you're gonna bullet Putnam Y, we're gonna bullet Newtown.
I think if you're,
Well, okay, so look, folks, we gotta be careful.
Well, I'm just, Newtown's 50,000.
I don't mind, but we've been saying for a while that we have a target of April 1st, deliver this, right? Now, that's tomorrow. That's tomorrow, okay? Because in order to meet, for town council and board of finance to review everything, ask questions, there's these bonding deadlines that are coming. We can't just keep growing this thing. I don't mind making some changes, but we don't have the time to spend 2-3 more weeks playing this. I'm sorry, we just don't. We have to deliver something to them very, very short. And if we're gonna add another, but the tasks, no problem, statement, that's easy, they're done. But if you want Newtown in.
Do you want me, I can help you with your word if you want.
No,
Okay.
no, it's okay.
Well, I'm just saying,
If we think,
why did you pick Putnam versus any other site that we visited? I'm just,
well,
why?
because I went there and they gave me the thing right in my hands. I said, oh, this is easy, cut, paste, put it in, I'm done.
And Newtown did the same, gave you, and I gave you all the background.
So if
Budget.
you have a Newtown sheet that's a 1-pager, you want me to add it? I don't care.
Okay, so
But
Jen,
I'm not,
I did ask if we should make copies, but we just decided not to
I
for tonight.
don't mind.
I'll prepare a 1-pager for Newtown,
Oh, no, did they just hand you something and it's
They
good?
handed
we
you
did have-
something.
we had
it's a packet.
but
Oh, well, okay, so now we gotta create a whole new document for Newtown.
I'll create a page.
We shouldn't be creating anything.
And I'll
we
just
should
cut
be
and
taking the
paste
page
their
that
budget.
gave us.
Yeah, right, we should just take the page they gave us and put it in.
the problem with Newtown.
No,
is
because
like
that's just, that page represented only the community center. So to be fair, you have to look at the entire facility, including the senior center, because that's what we're talking about,
So
right?
is it a 2-pager?
So it's probably 3 pages, but I can cut and paste out of their budget document, put it on 1 page, add it up, reduce it by $1 million for GE, just like we've done and we've reviewed it, and you come up with annually a $600,000 annual loss. Now, they have some other gains that they have in prior years. It's not, doesn't have the year-to-date numbers, it has their budget. I could go back and maybe get 2021 actuals if you want that, rather than their 2022 budget. But they were headed towards beating their budget when we visited.
Is there another facility similar to Newtown that have a 1-pager like this?
But,
I'm just asking a question, that's
yeah,
all.
no,
But we don't have
not,
to do
not
any
that
work?
has a
We have one
senior
from
and
Mansfield.
community center.
We have a 1-pager from Mansfield.
I also think when
With
you're talking
goals,
about
gotcha.
including Newtown, it's important that even though their Parks and Rec department is not in the community center.
Right,
I think it's important to include that in this document because our Parks and Rec department is going to be part of that community center. So I think for actual more accurate comparisons, you have to include our Parks and Rec department as well.
and the only thing I would say, Jen, is when we went there, could be, right? But when we went there, we didn't look at their park and rec because it is off-site there. But they do have a lot more in public park and rec offerings. They have a boat launch, they have a pond, all kinds of things. So if you want me to note it, we could note it.
Right, because
But
in their Parks
but
and Rec
it's
department
not-
is
it's not
where
our
their
small
pools are, and
department
I
that
think
we have
that's an
right now.
important comparison.
I think the most important though is that you're putting this stuff in the other stuff. Comparisons. People can take a look at it. This is how they run their facility. This is how they run a facility. We have something that we have Jen and staff together to be like, oh, here's how we are looking
Right.
into it. That's
And-
the important part.
I don't want to sit here and suggest you put in another facility, but if you're looking for comparisons, Bloomfield doesn't have the pool, but it has the exact 3 departments in their community center that we're gonna have in
As far
ours.
as you won't feel instead of Avon Center.
You want to, their social services is huge, but if you could just note it. Yep.
It's just most important.
And then
Look
the
at actual
pool,
configuration.
we would know aquatic center not include, they don't have an indoor pool.
Right.
We could take your number if you wanted to show what it would be with a pool or something. Again, it's comparisons. It's,
That's the important.
You have to
for me,
be-
it's the important part of it.
you get the big pieces that kind of line up.
To Dave's point, I mean, it would be crazy on that if we have something simple. But it would be great for comparison. Put in
So are you saying we're gonna
Field
do
versus-
I don't know what we're gonna
You
do.
said
I mean,
Mansfield.
Donna's good making one
Yes,
pagers,
we have
if she's
one
willing to
page.
do one.
I think we should put in what is handed to us.
Newtown's 5
All these
pages.
notes and all this
I mean,
was
Bloomfield,
handed to us. Like, you know, so I don't know
No,
really.
what I'm saying is if they have a one pager, Mansfield has a one pager.
like Bloomfield doesn't have a one pager because it's 3 different departments.
Right, we would, Jen, we can create something. Maybe, you know, we could summarize it.
Yeah, Bloomfield budget's all
If you
online.
want to, we could summarize it on one page.
Let's do that.
Yeah, I really like, Donna, how you did your spreadsheet for the senior center. Like it's organized. It's better than I do on Excel.
And you put the source, and so people could go to Bloomfield if they wanted to see it.
You might like.
Either Brendan or I will get your copy of one, unless Jen has one already. It was a one-page
I
financial
don't
statement.
know. I don't know if I have Mansfield. I'd have to look for it. You know? You guys have it. It's just easier.
Here.
Mansfield includes their park and rec. It does not include their senior center, which is offsite.
Correct.
Yeah, that's the problem. Look at a lot of places and they're not all the same. So
Right.
That's
we're
like
trying to
no
pick
matter
the,
what
yeah,
we're doing.
exactly. So we're trying to pick the best.
That's, there you go. That's the
Right,
one.
you have Newtown, you have, Bloomfield doesn't have a pool, but has the 3 departments. You have Newtown that has the pools, has the community and senior center, doesn't have the park and rec department. We're, again, it's incremental cost to our current that we're trying to go after, so I still would include Newtown.
Yeah. on the other side.
So Mansfield is a two-pager.
I don't know if
Yeah,
we
well, I
can
think it's
stack it.
fees and one page is fees, I think, or one page is.
I think the back page is a staffing thing as far as like what the personnel is concerned. Looks like that's what it is.
Drink way too much.
And this is COVID, there's some historical data. I don't, did you have the historical numbers? Because he gave us the historical as well.
This is direct. So the one you see.
Oh, I
Here's
see.
20, yeah, this is the financial page, this is the participation,
This is 20.
the staffing and stuff.
Yeah, it's-
Okay.
So this is really, that's the one you're looking. at. This is one showing, this is one showing our operating budgets.
All
And
right,
they give us
so
Yeah, I would do that one, that page there is.
and again,
Mansfield, one page.
and here's 2018, Dave, because that's pandemic. I don't know if that's the same sheet. Might just pass that on, so.
That was 20. So the one I gave to Dave should have been 20. Is that 2021?
So perhaps though you put an explanation of, if you're gonna put these numbers in,
down
you know,
years, yeah,
you
this is
put an
down years,
explanation of what it does include, what it doesn't include. So there's some context to these numbers and they mean something.
Okay, that's, yeah, so this would be 2 pages of financials, so that would be that.
Well, as long as it's just there and I can just
Yeah.
put it in and we don't have to, this is what they
But this is
do.
giving us a good year's spread, that's the thing, we got some extra years.
All right, so Mansfield's gonna be a two-pager.
Mansfield.
Okay, no problem.
Of course.
Gotta add 2 pages.
So Newtown, I'll summarize with Jen on one page. We'll summarize on
Yeah,
one
if
page.
you don't mind helping with that.
And
Okay, well, how many pages, how many people?
I don't know, Dave, but
Well, the
Quite-
problem,
frankly-
this is the problem. The report's supposed to be delivered tomorrow.
we're not delivering tomorrow.
No,
We have a meeting for next week already too.
Okay. Understand that. But if we're gonna do all, okay, so how many centers are we gonna do numbers for?
I don't, see,
I would-
that's,
Well, we will, okay, so you guys gave me Mansfield, I said, okay, this is what they do, we don't play with it, cut and paste it, we're done. Okay, I'm all for that,
What if instead of putting the,
but we
The
shouldn't be taking
comparisons.
their financials and picking and taking stuff out, modifying. If it's done, I don't mind, putting it in. I really don't, I don't. I just-
so what if instead of putting them in here, What if there's another document that if you want to include your notes from the community senior center and you include the financials of whatever you're including of the tour visits and then you can use the few pages that Newtown gave, wherever it is, it's in there.
But you know
Yeah,
what?
no, I think that is the way to go. Put it with your notes. That's where it came from. And you could reference in it here if you wanted to and do a,
An appendix
some-
B or whatever.
The
that
thing is,
includes
numbers by
the
themselves,
comparisons.
just putting that sheet in it's by itself, doesn't mean anything. There has to be some context around it. Why do you want to include it in there?
So.
Just because we have a one-page summary?
So,
That's not good
so
enough.
the projected numbers that Jen and Kevin Delaney came up with, not notes like these?
No,
Really, you just said that. You just said, these numbers are meaningless unless you have.
by
notes."
themselves,
Well, it's not that
But you don't-
complicated. It says revenue, expenses, it's sort of pretty straightforward. So the question is, what do you, I don't mind adding. I don't mind adding.
I don't know if the notes mean anything, but the notes may talk about those numbers. The notes may talk about the management. I will say this, that when we visited Mansfield, Tim was there. Mike, you were there, right? Tina was there. I'm not sure if Debbie was there. Anyway, yeah, Mansfield's older facility, not well run. They're going through all kinds of turnover. They have a problem with silver sneakers. And
They
that
have a
was,
problem
the
with membership.
conclusion.
They don't have enough people to cover their bills. That's their problem.
They have, I'm sorry, what?
They don't have enough members to cover their bills. They
No,
had 2,000 members and they had more bills than they could.
And it's not well run, that's correct. So they operate similar to a Y. They have a huge facility for weight training and fitness. So they're very similar to a Y. In any event, you need some context.
I don't mind.
Numbers by
I agree.
themselves
You
don't-
guys give me Mansfield, I'll throw it in, no problem. It's what they
Well-
do. I'll do it. You have another
Okay, I'll
one
say
that
my
somebody
piece.
handed you a sheet.
If I've said my piece, it's not worth it, but if other people have a way to design this, maybe Dave, can consider another way to look at things, or we can consider. I just think this is totally one-sided. By itself doesn't belong in our report, with the 3.3 million. Not saying the
I
detailed
already
facts,
told you I take it out, Donna. Why are we talking about it?
because I don't know what you're gonna do with all this other stuff that you put in. So
I'm not doing anything. You guys tell me you want Mansfield, put it in. I'm not doing anything else.
Well, maybe you can have bullets here referencing these other ones in the appendix for further detail. I'll do it that way. I think you have to have a Y and a column
I don't
in the
mind.
section.
I don't mind.
So
I don't mind.
I don't think we have to put them all in there.
So why don't we narrow down which ones we're gonna put in?
Well, do we have a one pager for the Marion Y that's actually the one talking about building a facility?
Certainly. If they would be, yeah, Putnam's really. Let's look at Putnam, because it was a little one.
Yes.
If you're gonna do a Y, I would do Putnam just because it's bigger. I would do a Y and then you have to
It's
decide, are you gonna
closer to
do
what we're looking
Newtown,
at.
Mansfield, or Bloomfield?
Well, there's nothing
If you just want to do two, I mean. Have to decide.
This Bloomfield's a 3-pager.
Bloomfield has 3 departments, so, yeah, their budget is
you probably want to summarize.
broken up by departments. Like this is Bloomfield Senior's page, and it's broken down into 4 pages. That's just Bloomfield Senior that I got off the internet today.
And today's point, as far as time, we do need a date that we're going to be presenting this. I would hope, here it is, April tomorrow. The mayor talked about April 19th. People make plans. I'd like to make some plans. I'm holding that date. I don't know if there's another date that we're supposed to be presenting. And if you have that date, we definitely will know what our cutoff date is to give them time to read it. If I don't know if the mayor wants it ahead of time to give them time, the council. We talked about a joint meeting with the public. Do we give it to the public at the same time? That will be up to the town council. But no one wants to get that date or hasn't wanted to get that date. Dave has always said April 1st. We all tried to push through that. you know, to me, we know we have to meet more frequently to, you know, to pull this whole thing together.
So I have an additional sheet down on this that I'll pass out with respect to.
I think we should make a decision on page 12 so we can continue to move on.
Well, I can add Mansfield, I'll add 2 pages, it's not that complicated, they're here. And so I don't mind adding them, I don't mind.
I'd like to make a motion that on page 12, if we're gonna include one site, we include all sites visited, get their financials, make a summary page so that if Dave wants to put their dollars on a summary page with the financials behind it, he's able to do so.
So we're gonna make summary pages. We're gonna make financial statements for other places.
Okay.
Like
No second.
nine, I think.
One second, I will know if we still in discussion.
We need a second before you do a
I
discussion.
think we should narrow it down because I don't think we have all the financials for all these pages. too.
And I don't know that we have time to put a summary report of every single site visited. So yeah, I would suggest narrowing it down.
Jen, Monday morning, I go down with you, we can go online, we can get the numbers. If we don't have them, I think we have most of them. But if we don't have them, we can get them. I'd be happy to help. It's that important, you know, I mean, otherwise you're just picking and choosing, and just because it's easy, you know, it's a one pager. And to me, you know, you want to put in, if you're gonna put that in, you put them all in.
Yeah, I mean, if you can do some of the one pagers, I don't have time Monday and Tuesday. I'm swamped at work.
So,
Okay,
I feel the-
I'll volunteer, if it helps, I can volunteer to do it. You can look at it, Jen, you can make, you know,
I can send you what I
Again-
have on Bloomfield because I printed it
Okay.
today.
so look, this thing is blowing up. So I disagree, we're not gonna, I don't think we should add, all these financial pages, it's, who's gonna review this? We're meeting on the 6th, so we're gonna create another document on the 6th. Everyone's gotta go home, read it, and we're gonna have another week. You know, this whole thing is blowing up. So we give them a couple examples, and that's it. If they have questions for us, they can ask us. It's just, it's getting out of control. I'm
does
sorry.
it,
It's out of
do you
control.
think that it would infer that what the staff has done is totally out of whack?
I don't know. I don't know if any.
It
I
doesn't
don't know.
look to me from the numbers from Putnam that the staff's estimate is out of whack. So it's
And myself,
pretty
Kevin,
damn
and
close
Roche.
to me.
I don't
Myself, Kevin,
know.
and Roche,
I purposely, I figured she's gonna present them, we're gonna talk about it.
we
so that
really
we know what
focused
the
on
numbers are.
Newtown and Bloomfield because of the similarities. So if we just wanted to include Newtown, Bloomfield as your 2 town ones and Putnam as your YMCA example, I think that's doable.
Okay, I think that's good enough.
Okay, so what am I doing?
I disagree.
Is there a motion on the floor?
Okay.
There is a
let's do
motion on the floor.
Let's go through the motion here.
There's a motion. So I'm opposed to including all the stuff. It's just too much. We don't have the time to do all that stuff. And give everyone adequate time to review all the financials that someone's gonna create and throw in there. We don't have.
But we presented other financials even to this group a number of times, and you're ignoring those. And yes, we reviewed them, put them in.
We don't have time
And
to
it-
review all
so-
this stuff.
There's a motion, accept it, deny it, whatever. Let's vote, let's move on. I agree, move on.
What's the motion?
Donna made a motion to include a 1-page financial statement for every site visited. I believe Barbara seconded it, and then it went to discussion.
Okay, so there's a motion on the floor, we'll take a roll call vote. Unless somebody has a different motion to vote on too. All in favor? So there's a motion and a second on the floor.
I'll make a motion then that we
You have to
take
vote on
the
the first
financial
one.
statements as presented, if they're usable for this report, and not go into modifying them ourselves.
I think you have to vote on the first motion.
Okay, let's do that.
We'll vote on the,
It's also
There
confusing.
you go.
we'll vote on Donna's first motion. All in favor of that? Any nays? I'm a nay.
Nay.
So we have to keep this simple. So,
So Tim with the motion about.
so there's three, I'm assuming there's three here, so that motion is not gonna pass, correct? Do you have any other motions to try to make this simple?
I have a motion that we use financial statements that have enough brevity that they can be put into this report as presented by the facility, unmodified by us. That's it.
For which facilities? You want to add that in?
We can say anything within 1 or 2 pages. I don't want to put financial report into this report. That's just going to add more and more pages to this thing. If they're 1 or 2 pages and they have enough information on them to present an opinion, then that's fine. But I don't want us to be creating financial statements for other facilities.
And okay, that's your motion.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, now discussion.
Discussion?
Discussion.
So just to be clear, my intent was not to create financials for the other sites. My intent was to take their information, reference the source, which is their financials on their town website, include the same departments. If you want to include 100% Parks and Rec, we could do that. That wasn't necessarily reviewed by us, but go ahead, throw those numbers in and just make a 1-pager so that it's not 2 or 3 pages. Since you would like brevity. So that was my intent, but
You know what I'm thinking? Why don't we do it like what Tim said? As a separate package when we hand this out to the council.
that's what,
And
That's a good
That's
idea.
what, yeah, it's a great
Yeah,
idea.
that's what this
no,
notes with
I'm
the
just
financial-
saying, just take Mansfield,
Call it
Bloomfield,
appendix
Newtown,
B.
whatever. If you got 3 pages for Newtown, staple it in the file.
Fine,
If you
and
want
then-
to do it that
And then the
way,
notes,
I
the
would
notes
agree to
follow.
that.
Call it
However
appendix
it was
B
given
and
to
call
us.
it
Sounds like a
financials of
separate-
sites visited.
Yeah,
Appendix
Under
B,
B,
done.
reference it to the
If
back.
Newtown is 4 pages and Bloomfield's 4 pages, just put them all in there.
At that point, I don't care. As long as it's what they gave us, and we can take this page, was it page 12?
Yeah.
God, we got 30 pages. All right,
And just
page
list them.
12B, and just use that as a reference. Refer to
See
the
appendix
back.
B for financials of
Refer to
Sites
financials
visited.
on the back.
Sites visited, which is.
sites,
about
yeah,
what we
it's
had.
All
sites
right, yeah.
visited.
And then a third package will be the notes. That would be my recommendation, so that you have your notes.
Notes from who?
Notes from
All the
us.
site visits
So if you go back.
that were,
Minutes, I guess.
yes, all the minutes have the notes.
1 pages.
Your Putnam, I know there weren't notes, you did present the financials, so we just don't have.
Yeah,
notes,
we
but
could
these-
go through the minutes,
these are
just
all
pull the
this
ones
is
that have
notes.
attachments of notes. Not every facility has notes and not everyone's provided notes. They're not gonna submit all the minutes.
You can list,
Those are 20
if you want, I
pages
can
each.
list them down and just say,
No,
Putnam,
yeah.
please refer to the financial statement, in that appendix.
Okay,
But I
Okay.
think,
So
Tim,
all
do
the
you
other
want
ones
to
have some
revise
notes.
your motion?
Yes,
Sorry, Ron.
I will revise my motion to whatever we were talking about.
To
To use
create,
the financial statements as presented and put them as a reference in the rear of the report.
as an
as an
appendix B.
appendix.
For a second.
Okay, we have a second motion on the floor, first and a second. All in favor?
I,
Okay.
Yay.
okay, so.
That was easy.
simple.
That was
That was
easy.
longer than selecting a chairperson.
Now, page 13.
if this helps, Jen, I have the notes from the centers, so
We'll get it.
Are those everyone's?
We'll help you.
those are everyone's.
Okay.
And,
I was just gonna go through the minutes and pull them out.
and then Putnam, if you want to use it as a check, it's fine. Putnam, I would, because there's no notes, but you do have a financial.
Right.
And so. All right,
Keep it going. You can do it.
So all the financials, you just, whatever they gave us, you staple them, put them in the back of the appendix B, okay. Okay, so where are we going now?
So page 13
We're
is
not
gonna be removed
extrapolating,
there.
right? We're not extrapolating numbers. Okay.
Page 13, Dave.
No, but maybe in each facility, I don't know, you know. The financials don't say the size of the facility.
No, we're gonna need that information and what they have.
Let's see, this is, you know what I mean, like,
You can create that for appendix B. I can do that.
We can make a header for the appendix, list each one what they are.
Square footage, what the facility is and the square footage.
So,
just so they know what
Yeah.
they're comparing, you know?
yeah, I think that's an easy one pager. Has a pool, has a community center, no senior center, or has this
So
and
that would
this.
be like the cover page of appendix B.
Yeah.
And then all the stuff would be.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dave, I'm doing that. Worry about yours. I'm gonna do that one when I call Donna.
That's okay.
Oh,
We can have to do something.
It can be brutal. I know.
Jen,
We should have done this at the truck park.
okay, so,
Much cornhole.
okay, so page, so I can go to 14 now.
Right.
And this is what Jen gave me. Or that's what Jen put on.
Yeah, and I just noticed it got cut off.
The last digit, yeah, we
Yeah,
just have to make sure.
I
it
just
happens.
noticed that.
Okay, so this is what the staff created, so whatever, this is what we did.
I don't know if anyone had questions, anything specific?
Most of it was.
So Jen, it's $1.6 million incremental to the current budget of $1,358,000.
Yep, it says in addition to current budgets. I didn't use the word incremental. I used the-
Yeah, that's all,
Yeah.
incremental, so, okay, got it, just wanted, I'm thinking of the PowerPoint and how. to
Yeah.
use. I think it's worthwhile to have Jen kind of go through this along with her write-up. That you had emailed us, like, to explain the programs. I mean, I think we should just make sure we understand it, and if there's major glaring issues or whatever, you can ask questions.
Well, it's sort of hard for everyone on a dime right now to go through this.
Want to take a week, like till next week? to go
Yeah,
through
just
it?
let people look at it. in
Sure,
spare time.
and then
It's so
maybe-
ridiculous to try to say, okay,
Even,
Yeah,
but do you
just
want
if
Jen
anyone
to?
has questions, they can
Yeah,
come
I
next
already
week.
went through this line by line.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, we went
I
through
looked
this
at it.
last week
Yeah.
too, so.
Yeah, so
said,
it's not in the
me-
package you
Me,
yeah,
Kevin,
so-
and Aroach sat for a good hour and a half to finalize things, and, we called Doug Solik, we got him on the phone, we called, we talked to Woody about it, to find out why the grounds person, I mean, we really did our research, we looked at the number of staff, in Newtown and Bloomfield, which is very similar to what we had, what our departments will be once we add this. Of course, our budgets are going to be higher because we're in the confines of union, contracts, so we had to use the salaries in our union contracts. Obviously, once this gets closer, if they want to look at outsourcing custodial or maintenance, that's something they can look at, but that would require arbitration with the union, so we would have to start. That's why we had to start with these numbers, and that's why even though we have the same amount of staff or similar amount of staff in the senior center, the park and rec, for other facilities, our numbers are going to be higher, and that's because our salaries are higher.
And where a position exists right now, it looks like you added the other part-time to make it a full-time position based on this incremental. Is that right?
Which part are you looking at? The administrative secretary?
Yeah, yeah.
We're just hiring another part-time person to do the
Oh, you're gonna-
afternoons. Because if it's a full-time, it becomes union eligible.
Right, so
So we're gonna have, right now
gotcha.
Tina has one part-time receptionist, we're just gonna hire another part-time receptionist, so
Got it.
all her hours at the front desk are covered.
okay, thank
I
you.
think it's good to see, show people how you got there, where your current budgets are, where it's gonna increase. That's the
Right.
numbers people are gonna look at.
The only question I had was, I'm just making sure that I understand fully how these things work and stuff. When you had put down for utility maintenance facilities you were putting an estimate based on Newtown's expenses.
Yeah, I
None of
asked,
that
them-
stuff changes because it's Berlin, is it, like, as far as the water, electricity, and HVAC. Do we, HVAC obviously not. but
I mean,
for
water,
electricity, it's all the same
water, I
things.
believe it's falling into 2 water districts. So like, I talked to
Right.
Kevin, and Kevin's like, until we know exactly how many gallons of water we're gonna use, which is too hard to estimate because you don't know what system you're gonna get for the pool and everything. So he suggested we go with what QAM had estimated.
Jen, the HVAC, that's natural gas, right?
Yes, I forgot to change that.
Yeah,
on
that's
that.
okay. Yeah, you'll change it.
Or Dave,
And the startup cost, sorry, the startup costs, I know we keep referring to them as FFE, but I really only look at that first line as FFE.
I could.
The other stuff is, I mean, you're putting in an 8-lane pool, I mean, look at that and tell me what to cut out, but if I cut out, all of a sudden, we're opening a pool and not offering certain services, because we need all that as a startup.
So this, the startup here totals 532 and the architect included 150.
Right.
This is over and above, or this includes the 150?
No, this says in red, in addition to the FFE and QAM, which is the 150.
Okay,
Because like the FFE and
So in
comms
total-
is tables, chairs, desks, furniture, whereas it doesn't include a lot of the stuff in the gymnasium. It doesn't include the
Yeah.
pool. It doesn't include Doug's $75,000. Doesn't include the vans for the facilities workers.
so just a suggestion, the total FF&E that you're looking for is 680, 150 plus 532. Right? This is the list for incremental over and above his 150. So in
Right.
total, it's 682,000.
Not if it's incremental to his, it would be minus the 150.
No, I'm saying, right,
If it's,
total, just like, see how you did the budget and you come up with a total of 2.9? So at the, for your operating budget, 2.9 million
oh,
down
yeah,
below?
yeah,
See how you added the existing budget?
yeah. Or so add comms,
So just at the bottom, I would just say,
but are we including this or are we just including this? Because this has it.
no, because this goes into capital. This gets added to the building. 532 or,
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
So
you know what I'm
just,
saying?
so do
in total, I think it's gonna
532
cost in total 682.
and then do another line.
Incremental is 532.
do another line of the plus 150
Right,
FFE
right.
that Tom included.
Right,
Okay, sorry, I just wasn't understanding what you're saying.
that's okay.
moving on, go ahead, Dave.
Okay, that's
What changed
15.
on the 16?
No, 16 hasn't changed at all. That's bonding scoop. 17 is what Kevin gave us. 18 is what he gave us. 19 is what he gave us.
18 and 19,
Did not change.
are those shared with the estimate that Kevin did with the housing values? To say how much in dollars
Oh,
and
that's
taxes?
right. I sent that to you, but I didn't send it to Dave.
Yep. So Kevin had
Do
two
you have
columns
yours?
over here on the right for every one of these. House market value.
I
And I
forgot,
don't know how he picked them, but
Dave, I forgot to print those for you. We can add
it's like
those in. It's just a
280
cut
and
and paste.
460.
It's this document plus another column. It's just a cut and paste.
It has the
So why
dollars.
don't you tell us what we did, because I don't know what you did. 'Cause I don't know anything about this new column. I don't know.
So last
that we
week we-
decided to
We
add
talked
it.
about it, but it has no rate impact, right, but
So what did we do? Just tell me.
What they did is they actually took two houses,
Two different
two
houses.
different houses, and then determined how much the mill rate increase would be impacting each house. Cost.
In annual dollars.
Annual dollars cost additional payment to tax payments.
And that
That's
document's
what I'm
already,
understanding.
that's already created?
Yeah, it's just a copy and paste.
It just has two columns here.
Yeah, put it in, that's fine.
My neighbors will be throwing rocks over the fence yet when you see that.
Okay, so that takes care of that. Fine. All right, 20 is Kevin Delaney's time chart. May 17 is, they got to get going, so we talked about time. is of the essence. 21 is other proposed bonding. This comes right from Mr. Delaney. This hasn't changed, right, Chen? I know you.
No, this is just a new copy.
Yes, February 2022. Same thing, nothing has changed. 22, yeah, 22, I finally got kind of done. And it's just where we rank in per capita bonding. those numbers that are all on there come from OPM. And that's what the numbers are, so I don't make up any, these are OPM numbers that came from a sheet that Kevin gave us, so.
Good source.
So that's it, so that's 22. 23, this is Kevin, straight up 100% Kevin, those two paragraphs. This hasn't changed from last time, but the two paragraphs were written by Kevin. And the 3 percentages down at the bottom, Kevin decided that there's 0 chance of a bond rating downgrade based on his 2 paragraphs up top, so that's what he says. Okay.
Do you want to put his title in at all, or just leave it Kevin Delaney?
You know, I don't have, I'd have to add another line because I'd have to roll around the corner. You know, so we know, I'm okay with it, but if you want, I could put, want me to put, what do you call it?
It's just all
Finance
information for Kevin Delaney to take out on this page.
Yeah, I'll just,
Then you can fit it in there.
finance director,
There you go.
finance director.
Abbreviate it.
I'll add it. No problem. Finance director. The Y option, I added H because you told me to add it, because you did not fit the statement of needs, so I added that at the bottom. That's there. On 25, you asked me last time to put an asterisk and put the C. So what I did is under A and B, but what I did is I just added C. And I put land use on Patterson Way, and I refer them back to page 8C. That's how I put the information there, so they can go back to 8C and look at what we said about the site selection. So, you guys wanted me to add it under A and B, like in a parentheses, C, 8C. But then I just, instead of doing that for A and B, I just added a C. And I put land use on Patterson Way, and I said CPGC. 26, I added for each A and B, you guys asked me, I added fundraising and donations. At the bottom of A and at the bottom of B, I added it. You guys wanted it, so. It's 26. 27 is, I took Donna's Excel. This, most of the list is the same, but I took numbers from Donna's Excel. And then,
Which had Meriden.
yeah, well, I didn't see, what happens is page 7 is toured facilities.
Right, right.
And then 27 is facilities that somebody from Berlin might want to use locally.
Yeah.
So that's what I put in, and then I called each one of them, and I found out what size their pool was, what their join fee was. And so this one, I did it myself. I got all the numbers from each place I called them, so I'm sort of done with 27. I think it's sort of self-explanatory. If I was making a decision about what we're going to do, I want to know what's offered locally from private facilities, and what they charge. So 27 last time, and that wasn't complete, but I was able to finish 27. So that takes care of that. On 28, Donnie, you asked me, I put a little divider there, and I wrote at the bottom of the asterisk, please note that in addition to the Berlin High School swimming dive team members, pool usage can and will include Berlin seniors, Berlin residents, and the entire Berlin community. So you asked for that. So I put it in. 29 hasn't changed. I was waiting for someone else to happen.
Just
So-
the plus, do we need that? It says and or likelihood to impact / elevate project costs. Is the
No,
plus
I
to
don't
say,
care, I can take it.
I-
But whatever you guys.
I just thought it was duplicate and I didn't know what, or if it meant something.
Yeah, no, I don't, well, I'll take it out. What the hell?
Okay.
That's 3 letters done. Unanswered questions, that's the same, I haven't done anything with that. at all. That's the same as it's always been.
Closing of pools, G,
And we didn't look at it.
The other thing that's gonna affect
Item
the cost
G.
of this project is rapidly increasing interest rates.
Well, okay, you want me to put that in?
That's very important. I think it's gonna be critical. in the next
Okay,
few years.
increasing interest rates after the Ukraine war,
And
increasing interest rates. Okay.
And then to your point, Don was about to get information about those pools. Right, pools.
right, the pools. Right, so
Okay,
there's,
so,
and Jen made copies of the analysis on the pools that we reviewed.
so,
Do you, I'm sorry, Dave, do you have it?
Yeah, I gave him one, Dave, this one. It's in your file.
Oh,
I handed it to you when you walked in.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay, it's somewhere here.
there's a
Okay, so
package
here
over
is
there.
pool, all right, so what am I looking
you want me
at?
to
This
touch
is,
one?
Sure.
summary of outdoor pool revenue and costs that would be eliminated. Oh, so if we close the pools, that's what this sheet does. We're gonna be really popular. Well, the whole thing is, okay, well, I guess, okay, now who created this?
See if the Lexan windows in the front of the house.
Yeah, so who made this document?
So the, Jen, Steve Wood,
I was gonna say, I did not make, this is way
No,
too
Jen
nice
was-
for me to make.
right, Jen was involved, Debbie Dennis and Steve Wood came up with all the numbers. I put it in a one-page summary for them, sent it back to them. It includes facilities. Kevin also reviewed it. And so what this, if I could just go through quickly. So it's up, last updated March 17th. It has the two pools, Percival and Demore Dinda, and then the total. Gives the dates the pool is open to the public, how many days that was in this past year. How many visits, that is how many people came to the pools pre-pandemic, and then how many were in 2021. The gallons of water each pool has, you can see the Demore Dinda so-called hover pool is less, not ADA compliant. The revenue that the town makes, which is in total, it's not by pool, but pre-pandemic, they were making about 25,000 a year for the passes. And the fees were 4,400, so almost 20, a little more than 29,000. During 2021, it went down to 21,000. The annual expenses of the pools, these are the variable costs, not the fixed costs, because this was prepared. If you closed one of the pools, what would you save or lose, depending on how you look at it. So these are only incremental variable costs, doesn't include fixed like facilities, people, because they wouldn't decrease their staff if you closed one of the pools. They would need that staff for other things. So net is 140,000. That means our revenue, and I took pre-pandemic revenue, 29,000 minus the variable costs, which are the supplies, the overtime, blah, 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 is 140,000. That's what the town currently subsidizes the two outdoor pools that are open, for basically 2 months, a little less than 2 months out of the year. In the capital costs, those are listed down. Those are in the capital budget. In the one that Dave has started 2024, but this pool liner for Demore Dinda was in the budget for 22, but not approved. And so now it's moved to 2023. It's the liner, it's, well, Dave, Steve Wood could talk to you about it, but it's, kind of on its last day. So that's 200,000. So total capital that would have to be spent with the pools in the foreseeable future. At some point, you're gonna have to make them ADA compliant. You're gonna have to do maintenance. That's what the 750 and 150 is. 900,000 for Percival, and $1.1 million for Demorton. But if you did close the pool, you'd have to realize that although you'd save some capital, you would have to put out some monies to abandon the pool, close it down. And that could be anywhere from 350 to 500,000. So any one pool, the capital savings, if it was 500,000, the higher number. If it was Percival, you'd save 400,000 in capital. And if it was Demorton, there's 600,000 in capital to come off of your budget for capital in the future. These are just some benchmarks based on the number of visits, how much it costs per person. And then down below are the fees charged currently for the outdoor pools.
Thank you for that information. I know I've seen some of these numbers, it was either
We
an
did-
email.
We did go through this
Right out
before,
of the
but-
budget, some of the stuff right out of the budget, capital costs.
right, the capital is, yeah.
They're familiar. So the question is, Dave, you put it on your list here, you just cross off not evaluated,
So,
see appendix.
I guess I'm looking at the bottom page for the next 10 years. Pools, here I see Percival 750. And East Berlin 750,
Page on it.
I'm on 21. So I know that you have a sheet of other people's bonding. You see on Kevin's sheet, Percival is 750, and East Berlin is 750. What does that 750 number mean? Page
So that's
21.
under surplus, I believe.
That's the building. It's redoing the building at the pool.
Yeah, it's part of facilities.
Making it ADA accessible.
It's not on
Upgrading
on
the
high
building.
priority list, it's on surplus.
And you won't see the pool liner because this starts at fiscal year 24.
It was included in their facilities budget. I don't know how it might have got, changed or whatever, but
Okay,
Well, it's on the capital plan, but it's on the category called surplus, that's
like other type of thing. or-
if we have extra money. It's like we gotta buy a couple fire trucks first, people would rather have fire trucks than a pool.
So,
All she gonna pull.
so there's
Yeah.
more, there's more capital budget than what's shown on page 21.
Yes,
Should we show the whole?
well, I was given February
Yeah, no,
2022, if there's something else on there, I don't care.
let me see.
I mean, the 10-year capital
Let me pull what
budget
we have from the
ages.
recent budget,
Yeah, I don't
we just
mind.
closed out the budget, so.
You have a better page with better numbers. Use it. So,
Oh, these are out years anyways, yeah, so these are under surplus. No, this chart is all right, they're here, they're just put out, they're just pushed out farther.
that chart's okay.
Yeah, these are under surplus.
Do you know, but I don't know where, I know it's in facility somewhere, the 150, but I don't know where. So like 225, 2025 maintenance is 150. But there isn't any maintenance in fiscal year 25, so I guess it must have changed, which is not listed here. Okay, I thought you were saying
It
that
may
it's
not,
listed.
that may be coming out of fund balance. That probably isn't even capital, we're just paying for that out of fund balance.
So this is.
We're trying
this
not
is
to
okay?
bonding, because the bonding is so excessive.
You think this is okay?
I don't see anything wrong with it.
I think it's a good, I think it's a good summary of the pools.
Today's point.
So, before I came to the closing about both of these, two questions. I have a new document that says, if we close it, these are the numbers.
Yeah.
Saying that, okay, so it's no longer an unanswered question, right?
Right,
Correct.
Okay, so where are we gonna put it?
Well, what you can do,
suggest you say,
suggest is put in one of the appendices, just say closing of the outdoor pools, see appendix B.
Okay, and I'll cross out not evaluated, and I'll say, see appendix C or something.
Yeah. See appendix 4.
So
Breakdown.
And then you guys will have this sheet.
there's like potential savings. So there's this, there's the,
Well, there's potential annoying too. You know, how many people, you want me to put that potential annoying all the families with little kids? I can put that in there too, because you know how
No,
bad it's gonna get. So, yeah, potential to really annoy a lot of families over the summer. because they can't swim in the pools. I can put that here too, you know, so
I can put
potential.
that in.
hey, listen, you wanna take a vote? Go ahead, take a vote. This is
I'm
just to
putting it in.
consider. No, but I know, I'm just trying to answer your comments, right? So this is to consider. It's not up to us. It's just information. If the town adds a pool, a competitive pool, does the town still need 2 outdoor pools? The answer could be yes. On Parks and Rec, yes. But maybe they say, you know what? Given that one of these pools is older or takes more capital or whatever, and if they decided to put in a Y or to put in a pool, they may want to save it. I don't know.
Well, you're absolutely
That's all
right.
that this is.
And I think they're smart enough to recognize when they look at your sheet and they say, yeah, I can say 100 grand, if I don't do this, or I can say 1.1. Okay, yeah, what am I gonna do with that money? 2.1. They know what they're talking about. You know what I mean? If you give them a sheet, they'll say, yeah, I can save money. You don't tell them.
No, but, right.
You know, they know it's.
So your annoying comment and all that, that's why it's included in this packet. That's why we went through it
I don't
in
mind.
another meeting. Okay, so I don't know what your comment was.
Just trying to-
Page 31.
So, page 31. So at the last meeting, we talked about Jen and I reviewing pros and cons. And last Monday, Jen took the pros and cons from this report that I have reviewed. And she took Donna's pros and cons that she had created. And Jen handed it off to the staff member to combine them, which that person did. And then Jen and I sat down after that, looked at those results, there was some duplications. And I took the information that Jen and I had, original pros and cons, took staffer who combined Donna's, and I took Donna's pros and cons, made sure that all of that stuff is here, these pros and cons. And some of them were a little wordy, so we sort of tried to streamline it a little bit. But 31, 32, 33, and 34, just what I just changed.
I know we haven't gotten to it, the PowerPoint, I also combined your comments. I didn't see this new list until tonight, so I did combine your comments, Dave, with the comments that we had in the PowerPoint from before. There were some duplicates, so I didn't include them all. I had, but I think I included them all. I have comments just, you know, in case someone said, where is it? I can tell you where it is, but, so I don't know if you want to make this easier, do we mark it up or however you want to do it?
31 to 34 is done. We did it, it's done. If somebody reviews it and doesn't like something, we tell
Okay,
Yeah, because I think it
It's
is
done.
important that the two match.
Yeah.
That's my only thing.
if this is going to be detailed report.
them. And then, so now we're on 35. And I think I added A. Because, you know, I want them to know the bonding deadlines are weeks away, so I think I added A. H was added because we took out You didn't want me to have it on what it was about options explored, and just wanted to why. Community center, so H is just, because I thought about it, is for somebody reading this document, you know, sort of things. Well, I either gotta pick a Y or I gotta pick a community center. And really, no, we didn't explore, you know, these are options you could renovate the existing senior center or and the parking lot. Or you could renovate if you want to do this, or you could do nothing. So I just think that it's important just to remind people, just say, hey, it's not just those two options, there are other options if you want it, but we didn't look at it. So, and that's it for 35, that's all.
Dave, just looking at your H, it says the additional options to do nothing at this time. Took it out.
I moved it from the other page and I put it here because
Okay.
you guys, you said, oh, here, page 6, it says options. Oh, yeah, I added, because you guys fixed that. I changed the title to be options explored by the subcommittee. And then I just put those two that you wanted, the 70,000 square foot and the Y.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I took it out of there, as you guys asked me, but then I did say, well, you take a peek, because, you know, it's not just, those are the only two options. You can just like say, hey, man, the world's crashing, we're doing nothing. You know, so, but that's it. And I did add A2 because I want them to know, like, folks, you know, if you're gonna bond and go referendum, it's weeks away. You don't have time to come around. So I added A. And then I referenced page 20 because that's the page that Kevin Delaney gave us with all the deadline dates starting on May 17th. So that's what
The only other question I would have is, did we discuss about possibly, one of the observations, conclusions was having this, going back over the statements?
yeah, if you look at B, I fixed that because Donna said, I forgot. So much. So I fixed B to do what Donna said last time. So B is future. I said, consider reduced facility size to lower project costs. For example, this is what Jen said, possibly eliminate third pool social services and food pantry and have an April 2022 referendum. So that's what Donna said she wanted in this last time. So I put it in. Because you know, if you want it, if you want, the council should know that, okay, we can go make it a smaller project.
Yeah, we're right back to the golden.
We're gonna go do all whatever we gotta do, and then we can have a 2023 referendum. So that's it. So,
November 23.
yeah, well, it's. So.
Go ahead, Barbara. Barbara's got a
Yeah,
question.
so-
I just have a couple of questions. We keep talking about this third pool. That third pool is not even in our plan, and I don't know why that keeps popping up.
Because it's in the conceptual design. It's not in the statement of needs, but it's in the conceptual design. So one of the things is if we go back to the statement of needs and we say we want to downsize, well, the first thing we want to do is take out the third pool that we didn't even ask you to put in.
Exactly. We did
Right.
not ask him to put that in, so that's
Just
just.
like we
even
didn't
there.
ask him to put in the social and youth services department, which includes the food pantry. We didn't ask for that either.
Right.
We put that
They
in.
might think
So
it's a
that's
good idea.
before you even adjust the statement of needs, you can downsize by just eliminating that. That's the point they're trying to make.
And I have another question. It says renovating the existing senior center parking lot. The senior center parking lot belongs to housing authority. How would we do that?
We
There's
didn't
a tree
explore.
there that I've been asking them to take down because I think it's dangerous. And they said that's housing authority, the town can't. do that. So how would we ever do renovation at the senior center in Park?
Are we responsible for the building maintenance?
Yes.
So the town would do a maintenance program for the period. But it's something we didn't discuss. It's just something Dave noted that was an option we didn't discuss.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask how that would be because I know. we fought
I'm
this
sure the
battle
town would
many
just go and do
times.
it.
The town would have to get approval from the housing authority.
Yeah,
For
which
any
I don't
type
think
of
would be a stretch.
renovation. And that's why it's not stating here that that's what we're going to do. It's just say, hey,
Is that-
if you're not gonna send this to bond, you're not gonna downsize, you're not gonna bring a Y in, here's another option.
I just wanted to bring that up as a point because dealt with that many times.
Right, we've tried to renovate that parking lot to make it more accessible,
Parking lots,
I
They
still
dead
don't get
ends,
the
yeah.
bus circle.
but
I still don't get the bus circle.
it's, yeah.
I think that probably they should have took that out first.
Could have made more parking spots there.
Yeah,
I mean,
Yeah.
up in the upper lot.
no, we have to drive around the circle.
The
They made it where you
roundabout.
pulled in. And where
To
the
drop
fence is.
people off.
If that area wasn't there, you could have fit more parking spots closer to the building.
You could put 20, 25 more parking spaces.
Take the green out, make parking spots, but still use the roundabout because you're gonna drop people off or something. Yeah.
It's like such
I
a-
think they did that for,
Oh, that's
safety issues. Because people were pulling in and out, and that, you know, that's what I was told.
Well, that was always there.
Yeah.
That used to be the school and that was the bus drop off.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
So I used to play Little League and, what was the other one? Parking,
Yeah.
fields and
In
back.
that field in the back, they
So, Mr.
Ride my bike
Chairman,
up personal.
And then Brendan had that in his presentation, so I just put that in front of it.
So I said I had
But
a.
I don't have all the financials.
And
And this was the why, we also have a 2-page questionnaire from the
So I
Y
handed
that
out.
he answered at our meeting that we should put with the Meriden Y. Yeah.
I'll help you.
Yeah, you tell, yes, I'll help
There you go, then, Mr. Day. Sir. There you go there.
thing.
Barbara. Jen, I told you this was coming, it's here. So, like ordinance the clock here, folks, and so I know that our next meeting is the 6th, so I said, oh, what the heck are you gonna do now? Well, I said that before tonight, so I don't know. Anyway, I said, okay, if it does, goes pretty good tonight, then we meet on the 6th, and then on the 7th, we distribute, send a report out, right? So I said, okay, one, Brendan can email it to all the counselors and to the Board of Finance on the 7th. Oh, that's pretty good from a time standpoint. I didn't burn, we blew a week. Missed our deadline by a week. So I said, that's okay. And then in that email, Brendan can say, hey, we're gonna make you a hard copy, so you don't have to burn ink cartridges at home, and print 35 pages on your own. So we'll give them all a hard copy. So that was one. And then number 2 was, I think we should have a press release to the newspapers. Sample below for immediate release from Brendan, you know, and that's what I put down. Brendan sends it out to the press, they put it in the newspaper so that people know that this report is available. And they can look on it. We're still, Jen's trying to work on a location in law about where the report is going to be, a location. So we really should be transparent, tell all the public, this is where you go to get it. And if some people don't have a computer or a printer, that we should really, if they want to come to the town manager's office to get a copy, we should really give it to them. So that's what I did. That's what I thought we should do, but I don't know.
I think we can make the date. The only thing I would say on this is the press release, the Hartford Courant, I would leave that to the town council.
Oh, okay, so you want, we'll leave it all to the town council, or we do
We-
They
it?
they
we will
wanted to do
supply them.
public outreach, not us.
Yeah, we'll supply them the report and then they can do the press release.
Oh, so we just ace number 2?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm all for it, fine.
But maybe you recommend to the town council,
Yeah,
They-
we can put a
they make it
recommendation. in.
available to the public, but they said they wanted to do all the public outreach, so.
Oh, maybe in conclusions, I can see that.
Or just say it in the email, if you're gonna set,
Oh, I see,
I don't
when
know about
Brendan
emails,
sends the email saying, here's your electronic copy.
we strongly
We
suggest
suggest a press release, you guys do it.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
public outreach or press release or whatever in Facebook. But just a suggestion, there aren't too many people on the council, and we can talk about the Board of Finance, but I suggest that we make a bound. We just put this in a bound with individuals. So this would be the detail report. Behind it would be the appendices of the extra data. And you just have separately, you could bound it very easily. I'll even pay for it if, you know, that makes a difference. And because email is sometimes hard for some people to pull it up, especially a big document, and then read through, then they're gonna want to print it out. I know sometimes for a detailed report, I want to print it out. So if we have it printed for them, we can deliver it to them.
Oh, to the council?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, we gotta give them a hard copy.
Yeah,
Question.
Christine.
So
Wanna give
I
them a
can
Email
have-
those out.
We have a
Email, I
board
didn't know if you
finance
can
meeting right
email
after
it.
the 7th anyways, I think, so.
So next,
probably just
that's
bring
next Friday.
Have Kevin Delaney bring.
Yeah, and while we're talking about dates, I just, I know it's 7:45 and we still got stuff to do, but I just want to make sure. I'm hoping you guys are committed to finalizing at next Wednesday's meeting. Because in full transparency, I'm on vacation the week after, I'm out of state. So if we can all make a commitment that we're gonna finish this on the 6th, I can walk out of this meeting with this and go up to Christie's office and say, hey, which town department has that binder thing, and sit there Friday and put them together before I go on vacation on Sunday.
You got it.
So,
I'm on vacation, same time.
yeah, it's school vacation everywhere, so.
I'm leaving on the 7th for a week, so I'm willing to put whatever time we need to.
Yeah, we can commit to,
It's
I will
hard-
help Dave. Dave, if there's a chance you can email this to me, I can make some of the changes right in the document and help you out a lot.
Well, that sounds like a good plan.
Just an option. And then Donna said she's gonna help me with the budgets. I'll start working on the appendix. So,
We have two comments that I have. One is, so our report's supposed to go to town council. I would suggest that we not send it to the Board of Finance, leave that up to the town council, because that's who we're supposed to report to. We don't report to Board of Finance. Board of Finance certainly is in the decision-making with the council, but that's who we report to. That's where our task came from. And then my other comment, and I'm sorry, I didn't realize we'd done page 35 of Dave's report. I read this and I will tell you, I don't think we need to say unbiased in parentheses and say this comment down at the bottom. I found that, no disrespect, Dave, I found it a little condescending. I would hope our town council, just like us, we tried to be factual. We tried to obviously be unbiased, no personal opinions were supposed to be stated. So I think that I would just take that out. To me, that was, to me, I'd read that saying, of course, I'm gonna think of the best interest. That's what the town council always should do in their decision. So that's my comment. Don't know if anybody agrees with it.
I felt the same way, and I thought it was just me that kind of just didn't make me set well.
So
not
take off the
that
unbiased.
No problem.
Okay.
Go on.
And a comment down below.
Here we go.
And finally, the thorough, complete, honest reading. You would hope they would do, everybody would do that.
Well, yeah, you know, the problem is we all know, we've seen biases everywhere.
and that was something
We all
in
have
our,
biases.
in our original meeting, that was something that was
We all
drilled
have-
into
but
you
we're not
guys as a
supposed to
committee
state our
too.
opinions and-
Yeah, no, I took it out.
Yeah.
It's one, it was sort of like, some people come to the
Well,
table
they're in the present.
and they have biases and they can't get beyond their biases or prejudices. And so I said, what's behind them? But it's gone, it's over.
So
meeting is
next
easy.
week, we're basically gonna review the final report.
Well, let me just say this, there's a lot of work that has to go into this.
I agree.
There's a lot of work. So,
I can make myself available during the day. I'm retired, so if I can help Dave,
yeah,
Like Karen told Jen, she knows
I gotta
that-
go digest them, what I gotta add. what pages, how I have to-
Jen, do you know how to dump an Excel file into Word? Like that, the one,
Only copy and paste, and it's,
so,
you have to
I know the file
resize
we're
it
in.
all.
but you did send it to, so if you copy and paste it into Dave's presentation, just to show him what it would look like,
Which one?
the Excel file with the membership.
I sent that to him.
No, I know, but he doesn't know how to copy and paste and dump it into
You can
Word.
usually just right click.
The problem with that
File.
is
But if it doesn't
page
fit,
7 of
it's-
Word facilities, see? And you didn't have all the numbers on your Excel. for all the
Because they don't
facilities.
have fees. Last,
Okay, so I'll look at it.
yeah.
I'll
no,
look at
please,
it.
Yeah,
Well, if they don't have fees, I can just say no fees. It's
you know,
easy.
the senior fees, some of them have like a $20
Oh, yeah.
annual senior fee. Those I didn't. These are more membership fees.
Yeah.
That we,
I will look at it. Like I said earlier about page 7, I've been doing it
right,
since last time. So I'll look
Yep,
at what
yep.
your Excel
okay.
says and.
I think it's also important to talk about let's say we are doing the 19th, which basically, if that's the decision that is made, I'm gonna write an agenda item and it's gonna be part of your town council packet that this committee is coming. basically.
Now, let me tell you something. I think it's very difficult for us to figure out what's going on until we hand this report to council and say, you have it now. What if we don't get it on the 7th?
Well, I'm just saying, what you do need to think ahead is who's going to stand at the podium and give the presentation? And is that presentation going to be the PowerPoint slideshow? And is that something that we now have to
I
finalize as
would wait
well?
with the PowerPoint slideshow until after the town council reads the report. They may have questions for us and they may want us to include stuff.
They
I
want
mean, I think what
to
we gotta do right now is get this report to town council and let them decide how we're gonna do it from here.
Jen, I'm sorry, to that point, can you wrote up your programs, that should go into the
Appendix.
next report as well.
Yep.
Okay,
I mean, we can have a PowerPoint ready, but I think it's gonna be up to them to schedule what we're on schedule for.
Yeah,
after
because
that.
they may want to include the public that night. They may say, look, we're gonna meet with you 6 and go over your report, just us. Answer questions, or they may say, we wanna do it all in one night, we want the public invited, we want you to do PowerPoint. That is to us and to the public. I don't know. What that is. I think-
Well, like I said, they may have questions too that we just didn't even think of.
I think it's-
So once it's submitted, say, okay, let us know what the next steps
Yeah,
are.
what do you want us
When
to do?
When do you want us to present and who are we presenting
Give
to?
us the schedule and how you want us to do it.
right, the mayor did talk about having one meeting, town council and public at the same time. Maybe he's changed his opinion, but it is April 1st tomorrow. Maybe Brendan, Mike, I don't know when your next council meeting is, but
Tuesday.
okay, so could you guys discuss it as a town council, how to handle it, that the report's gonna be coming in a couple of days or early the following week? And you guys discuss it, maybe get a date? You guys,
We can do that.
you guys,
Yeah,
right?
you guys talk about it. Figure it out.
You know,
Just say,
Get
Figure
a
it out,
date.
let us know.
Figure out how we're gonna do it, and then, and we, yeah, meet
yeah,
on
we're
the
meeting on
6th,
the 6th. We're hoping to deliver this on the 7th.
7th or 8th, right? I think she said Friday,
Yeah,
but
Oh, I don't-
unfortunately, yeah. I agree with that. Let's make a commitment to it, maybe need some help. Next few days.
Yeah, let me look at this tomorrow and see.
I have to convince him to email it to me.
You were just saying that I never did PowerPoint before either, so this was my first rudimentary.
Excel, I
Going
think I'm
through that.
doing well, then I email it to Donna, and she
Everybody has pretty good
reformats it,
ideas.
and I'm like, oh, that looks much better than
I've
mine.
had some experience doing those things.
I wish I was better at Excel. Okay. So appendix is financials, facilities, the pool breakdown, the notes, the program thing I wrote, like the suggested programs.
like with your incremental cost reference, the programs in the appendix, it's there
Yeah,
because.
because
Or put it right in
plus
front of
the,
your costs and
the
things
budgets are
before.
going in there too.
You know, I think including the notes, everyone really knows about the tools. I think we're getting too much into the weeds. I really do. You have notes from Mike, that's from you, that's from you. You guys are going way too much into the weeds. It's really are.
Just the meeting, right? It's not all inclusive.
All of the notes are included in the minutes if they were submitted to us, yeah.
Just pulls them out from.
Yeah, maybe just
It
pull the
could be
minutes.
a different perspective,
The
and
notes from the
someone
minutes
reads
out.
it.
Is that
That's
possible?
exactly what this is, it's just,
Oh,
That
let's
was a
just
big
go with
part of
that.
our task,
already-
is the lessons
Yeah,
learned.
it's already pulled.
It's already pulled.
Okay, so
because you don't want the actual narrative of the minutes of the meetings, you just want the notes that people.
Right,
send.
just
Yeah,
the
that's-
notes,
that's
which those
Yeah.
are just the notes.
So we've already done.
Like I said, you don't have them for every facility, but you include the ones you do have.
We have to show our work.
Yeah, I mean, that was the
So
biggest
just
part of our.
we gotta show you.
Show your work.
Don't make it,
I'll let you give that answer. Your mother did that. Just kidding. All right, very good fourth session. Donna, Jen. Did a lot of work. So much.
So if I could just ask everybody to take a look at the PowerPoint, if we're not gonna go through it tonight, the pros and cons, and Dave, please, Jen. I think think I incorporated, my wording might be a little different. I'll bend to whatever wording you want. I started checking off, I didn't get all of it from tonight. but-
Yeah, if you look it over, you
I'll
see
look
anything
it
glaring,
over.
just send it to me.
But if people could look it over and think about the why, like what to include, I don't know if anybody has thoughts, but I did put a background sheet in for the why, you know, a couple bullets about the background, how it's part of the consortium, blah, blah, blah. And then I was gonna take Dave's sheet, so I can continue working on it, I'll take Dave's sheet where he summarized points, comments. We do have pages, we have 2 pages of questions, some were answered, most weren't. And
That's in
then a
there.
follow-up, the 2 pages is not in there, right? So I can pull them out, but
Oh, the ones
that's all
we
I
emailed
have
back
here,
to.
I'll look at them. Yeah. But if you could,
Okay.
just so you know, this was the PowerPoint Jen put together with Brendan, you know, just some things. I made sure I went through that, picked up things. I went through most of Dave's report. I did not include Jen's numbers yet. Now I'll update it with Jen's numbers. The capital costs, mill rate impact, dollar for taxes, so they'll have that in the sum in the PowerPoint. And if it helps, maybe Tuesday, send out an updated PowerPoint, just so that you can all see it ahead of time, or would you rather just wait till Wednesday, we can, go page by page? If you're gonna do
Same with the
PowerPoint.
appendix. If I can get those done over the weekend, can I send that to you guys for review instead of going page by page?
You know,
on Wednesday?
I think it's gonna be important that we focus on the report. Since that we're handing off.
Yeah,
Council.
PowerPoint's
Because
gotta
the
come back.
PowerPoint can be after, you know, we're probably gonna have a couple of weeks before we have. Even if they say, oh, you know, I don't know what they're gonna say. But we have a deadline to get this report to town council. That has to be.
So somehow should, within the report then, should we pull the financial impact together to put it in the report? We have pieces. We have operating budget, we have capital. We never pulled those together to show, we have a revenue, we have membership, you know, potential memberships to charge. We never pull, we do pull it together in the PowerPoint. Maybe even if you just, I could do those slides, and if you wanted to pull it together and put those individuals or that 1-page slide in there, you could do that. Just to pull it together so they know what the total annual mill rate might be while you're paying off the debt. It's piecemeal. I just offer that. To me, it would, if I was a council, it would help to have a
Were
summary,
we
but
putting that in already?
maybe you guys can think about it, the 2 of you.
Yes, that we're adding. That's my fault. I didn't send it to them. I forgot.
Yeah, so that's going in there anyway.
Yeah, the page with the 2 houses, that's gonna be added.
That's the
I'm gonna
capital,
update
but
with
it doesn't
that.
include the operating impact. Which is gonna be about $1 million, you know, if you charge memberships and just say it's 600,000.
And that's another thing, you guys have to decide what you're charging. Are you charging memberships for the whole building or just to get the pools?
Right,
That's
the
a huge
memberships-
change.
Well, that's not for us to decide.
Right, so it's hard to give them membership revenue expectations if you don't know what to charge.
And
Realistically, we're gonna have to
Yeah,
charge
exactly.
70,000 square feet,
72.
72,000. That makes me.
so the membership, just, you know, last week, quickly went
1.6
through it.
acres.
I
Pretty sure.
just took a stab at memberships and just thought it to be similar to what Newtown does, which is just for the pools. If you want something different, you know, show it, or tell me or whatever, but that's kind of what we had talked about, and that was in last week's PowerPoint and this week's PowerPoint. Gotta have something, because you're gonna charge something, and again,
Yeah.
it's all gonna change, we all know that, this is just, you know, FYI. So,
Okay, if you want to work on that, if you get time, it's on Tuesday. Fine. Barbara, you have any ideas, questions, thoughts? Before we close out?
I'm looking at all of our piles of things, and I'm wondering how much is the council, you guys are on the council.
I don't know, I already have.
I know.
Yeah, you guys don't have to.
I don't have to.
I'm wondering
You lived it.
if it would, and I think
I
it
think
would charge.
here's what I would say too, is that this report here, that we, they basically worked together, we went through.
Yeah.
That this will be so much easier to read than what I've heard with the affordable housing.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that's-
Oh, really?
Over 200 pages.
That's
So,
Alina, she's been
I'm
sitting
very
in on all
grateful
those
for
meetings.
this. We've broken a lot of this stuff down. It's very simple.
We're done.
That's, I think,
We're
the
done.
genius of the state. It's very simple, it's easy to reference. We've all,
You gotta get to the bathroom.
it is very, right, you could be there for a while, but it's very easy to read. It's broken down into simple stuff that, as, you know, as a counselor, you're going through, it's like, okay, I understand.
It's not just a narrative, it's bulleted and, yeah.
And that's why I think this is, I appreciate this a lot, because it synthesizes everything.
It's an easy read. It's just an easy read.
Easy reading. Yeah. The Penguin.
Tells the story.
Yeah, it does. It tells a great story. I give it 5 stars. No, seriously.
We all know it, and I just wondered if when they're gonna have, they wanna talk with us, you know?
Yeah, I think as a counselor, just to get to really what you're saying, it makes it easy to be able to read this than it would to just, you know, if I want to pour over numbers and stuff like that, to get to specific points, sure. That's why we have the, that's why we have all that other stuff. But to go through it exactly what we learned, I mean, it's 35 pages, it's very simple, brings it down. So, very good. 35, 37.
Mark did say he wanted to have a meeting too with town council and maybe just to have an open
The
discussion.
questions,
Yeah,
Um,
so I would imagine after they read the report, they
Right.
will absorb all the information. There'll be a lot of questions.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah, because we've been with it all along, and
Yeah.
we're giving them this, and all of a sudden they have to absorb all of that, you know. and sort of- Without all
The
the
good news, we
background
got two
stuff.
counselors, again, some updates, I mean, not the
That is a good
details, but
news, yes.
I'm good.
Continue.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion on the floor, second. On favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everybody.
thank you.
Have a good weekend.